wabarakatuh. Welcome to Bararabu Show. I hope you are fine. In this English lesson, I'm going to help you learn the present perfect tense. So let's see examples about this English tense first.
Have you started running? Yes, I have started. Have you finished the project? No, I haven't finished the project yet. I have worked a lot this morning.
Okay, in this tense, we will look at how to form the present perfect tense, such as the positive statement, the negative statement, and how to turn the positive statement into question form. Then we will see how to use the contractions. And lastly, I will show you when you're supposed to use the present perfect tense when you are speaking English. And let's proceed. Okay, let's start with usage. Generally, we use the present perfect for something that started in past and continues in the present. We will see 5 other situations, which is the probably different times that we use present perfect tense. So here is the form or the structure. So we start with subject plus have if we have pronouns like I, we, you, they, or plural noun. Or we can use has if we have singular noun or the pronouns or the singular pronouns like she, he, it. Plus past participle, which is the third form of the verb. The first form is the present, second form is the past, and the third form is the past participle. So plus the rest of the sentence, which is most likely the objective. For example, I have written this book. I have written 3 books. Here we have used written, which is the third form. We have already seen that movie. Hassan forgotten his cell phone. Hassan has forgotten. Has is missing here, sorry. Hassan has forgotten his cell phone. He has just woken up. Here we have the contractions. As we know, if you are writing formal writing, always we use the formal like have, has. We don't use the contractions. But for example, when we are informal, for example, when we are talking to our friends or people around us, always we use the contractions. I have, we have, we've, they have, he has, his, she has, she's. So it's contracted. And knowing the contraction is very important when we are talking about present perfect. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, we have seen the positive. So let's see the negative. The negative form, we start with subject plus either hasn't or haven't. Here is a contraction. Here is a abbreviation. For example, here it is has not, and here is have not. So if you have singular noun or a singular pronoun, we are using have not. If we have a plural noun or a plural pronoun, we are using haven't or have not. Plus the past participle plus the rest of the sentence. Okay, let's see the examples. I have not seen Ahmed this week. Shadia has not come to class for the past 2 days. Hassan has not forgotten. Hassan has not forgotten his cell phone. I have not eaten anything. this morning. Also, here we have the contractions like have not, will be, would be, haven't, has not, would be, hasn't. You see. Okay, let's come to the question form. So, question form, we are starting with have. If we have a pronoun, a singular, plural pronoun, or plural noun, like plural pronouns like we, you, they, or I. Plus, also we can use has if we have singular noun or singular pronoun plus the subject plus the past participle, the third form of the verb. So, have you finished the project yet? We have seen the example is someone saying, "Have you finished the project yet?" And then the young boy replied, "I haven't finished the project yet," which is a negative form, and this is the question form. The second example, has Samatar ever been to Bosaso? Have you written 3 books? Has Hassan forgotten his cell phone? Here is a cell phone only, sorry. Have you started editing the video? Have the result of the election been announced yet? So you see the examples. Okay, let's come to the different situations that we use present perfect. Situation number 1 is when the time of the action is not over. For example, I have worked hard today. For example, you came early in the morning and you started doing things or working, and then in the meantime, someone asked you, uh, how it's going. Then you reply, I have worked hard today. Maybe you have started working earlier, still you have working, and most likely the work will be continued. So in that case, you are using a present perfect and the action is not over. The second example, I have learned a lot of new English vocabulary today. Okay, situation number 2. When using words since and for to talk about an action that started in the past. For example, I have lived here for 5 years. And maybe right now we are in 2022. So maybe in 2017, from 2017 up to 2022, if you are in somewhere and someone asks you, how long have you been there? Then you reply, I have lived here for 5 years. Okay? So in that case, we are using a present perfect to talk about an action that started in the past. Okay. She has helped for her sister since she was young. Her supporting started at her early age or since she was young. Okay, okay, number 3, we're talking about an action that has been repeated between the past and now. For example, I have visited him 5 times. Let us say from the first time you have visited, you have visited again another 4 times. Okay, so this is a repeated action and it's between past and now. Okay, they have seen that film 6 times. From the first time, they have seen it again another 5 times. It has happened several times already. So you see. Okay, situation number 4, when the time of the action is not important. Okay, for example, I have studied Ottoman Empire history. For example, someone asked you, let us say someone asked you, have you studied Ottoman Empire? Then you replied, I have studied Ottoman Empire. The time you have studied Ottoman Empire is not important in this case. For example, it can be 1999, it can be 2005, 2014, it can be 2022. The time you have studied is not mentioned. But the most important thing in this point is that you have studied. Okay? That you have finished studying. You have finished studying Ottoman Empire. Second example, they have learned Somali language. In this case, the time they have learned Somali language is not important. Just they have learned. Okay, situation number 5. When talking about an action that was recently completed using the word just. For example, I have just finished eating the food. For example, now maybe you are washing your hands after eating the food. The second example, they have just finished listening the lecture. Maybe the class have just ended and the lecturer wants to leave and the students are leaving. And the students are leaving from the class. The match has started. The match has just ended. Maybe you were watching a football match when and someone asked you, "Are you still watching the match?" And then you have replied, "No, the match has just ended." Okay. Then another example is he has just reached his destination. Let us say one of your friends has traveled to somewhere, and then you have called him, and then you ask him, "Have you reached your destination?" And then he replied, "I have just reached my destination." So then, when you are when you wanted to report what he said, you can say he has said that he has just reached his destination. So in that case, we are using present perfect, and the action has recently completed. Okay, she has returned from. She has just returned from Mogadishu. Okay, let's come to for and since. For is used to describe period of time, like for 10 years, for a week, for 12 months, for 2 hours, for 10 minutes. You see, for example, the length of the time. When you know the length of the time, we are using for. The length of time, like it can be 10 years, it can be a week, it can be 12 months, which is 1 year, it can be 2 hours, it can be 10 minutes, it can be anything when we know the length, okay, the period of time. Also, since we use it to describe a specific point in time, since 1960. For example, we don't know the length of the time. For example, someone has written a book and then he said this action was happening since 1960, and the book was written maybe 5 years ago or 20 years ago. In that case, we don't know the length, but we know the exact time that the action has happened. For example, since 1960, since 2002, since last summer, since November, since yesterday. Okay, so meanwhile, we use for period of time. We use since for a specific point in time. Okay, so that's the end of our topic. We have seen the structure, the form, the negative form, the question form. Also, we have seen 5 different situations that we use present perfect tense. Okay, so that's the end of our topic. If you liked our videos, please do subscribe to our channel, and you are the most welcome. Wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.